Well, hello everyone, good evening. Thank you so much for your patience this evening. We are getting underway a little bit later than what we would have hoped for, but some drivers had some internet issues and that sort of thing. So grace was given and the session was delayed. Obviously everyone was in agreement of that. No one is the worse off for it, and away they'll be going to get underway shortly. So we are just beginning our qualifying session for the evening. So we've got 15 minutes for these gentlemen to sort out where they will be starting on the grid. Now, the key thing to note, if you're not obviously up to date on this sort of thing, is that obviously this man here, Ayrton Spener, took the win last time out in this series at Suzuka, another previous Japanese track. Here for the Asian Grand Prix, though, it is Mount Fuji, where he'll hope to be making it 2 from 2. I'm sure he would love to do that. So as the guys are just going round on their out laps, of course, getting ready, trying to fight for all kinds of track position to get underway and racing. We're just going to get, obviously, the stream and everything up, make sure we're all good to go, and get this shared where it needs to go. So we are just taking care of some last few things on our side, as you can watch the man who took not pole last time, came second, but he did take the win. So let me just get this up where it needs to go, like I say. Now just bear with me, enjoy some very nice engine sounds, and watch Ayrton Spener's first qualifying lap as we get everything set up. As I can say, we're running a little bit behind schedule, my sincere apologies. Get underway as soon as we can. Once again, I am very sorry for being late. I feel bad, but I feel like being slightly late and having more drives on the grid is better for everyone. So as last time, I'm going to disconnect my phone from the internet and use 4G to monitor the screen because I don't want to risk creating any more internet than I need to for this. But that will allow me to read the chat and everything should I need it. But to everyone that is in the chat already, welcome, good evening, how are you? Hope you're doing well. And I hope you're looking forward to some racing. But we should be ready to get on the way now. Should have everything we need. So, let's just remind ourselves of the buttons we need on here. I think we're good to go. Beautiful. Okay, so qualifying is underway then. The first lap time will be from Dougie Aframan, immediately beaten by Ayrton Spener. Lenny cannot do that. Ollie Polly sets the time good enough for P4. Chillikiller slots in P2. Groot, that is another interesting man to point out. This man here, PRT Groot, will be racing as a wildcard today. Trying to dip his feet in the water. Obviously, we do have one free spot, and the regulations state that if there is a driver wanting to compete for a wildcard spot, they are eligible to see if they would like to commit to the league on a more permanent basis for future seasons and that sort of thing. So he will be very happy with that one. We have a car off in the wall. I believe that was Ollie Polly. Has had a big spin. Very easy to do. Obviously, I was going to mention it a little bit earlier, but I completely plumb forgot again. Is the maximum tyre allowed for Fuji is the soft compound of tyre. Now, what that has done, that has taken a lot of grip away from these drivers, meaning that other strategies will be a bit different here to what we saw at Suzuka. But it also means a lot of drivers, as you'll probably spot on the bottom right of your screen here, Chillikiller, for example, PRT Groot, Philly Wool, Lenny TVD, Dougie Aframan, all them sort of people, they're running traction control through the final sector in a bid to find some more traction. Now, it's not illegal to do that. Obviously, traction control comes with its advantages and disadvantages. So we'll see if that works out the way for them that they hope it will. So here we go then for the second round. Now this is not going to be an improvement, I don't think, for Chiller Killer, because he's got a penalty. Dougie Afroman doesn't improve. Lenny TBD does. A time good enough for P4. Very good lap from him. PRT Gru opts to pit in for some new tyres. Sonics goes P3. That's his first competitive lap of the session. He'll be very happy with that. Philly Wool coming up to the line doesn't improve. Dougie Afroman's back out for pits. Ollie Polly in the pits. Skull TBD has not improved. They'll go for another lap. And then we have Schecterfer coming out the final sector on a PB. 7s in P12 as well. And then Mr. Ralph will be the last one of those guys to come through the last sector, I believe. No, Schecterfer is 7s has gone off. It's been a bit of a hash of things. And Mr. Ralph will pass him. And it doesn't look like a very good time for Mr. Ralph. Considering pole position is a 124, Mr. Ralph looks like he's going to be very, very off the pace here. So maybe it's just another warm-up lap for the Spaniard. Definitely not the pace we're used to seeing from Mr. Ralph. So I'm sure he'll go again. Speaking of going again, we have a few guys battling on circuit for track position, that sort of thing. Trying to get themselves set up in the best possible way they can. Only 2 temps though currently separate our first and second drivers. Then third and second and third are separated by just over half a tenth, and then a tenth and a half to third and fourth, and then fourth and fifth is a tenth and a half, and then fifth and sixth is a tenth and a half, and then sixth and seventh is less than half a tenth. So you can imagine these guys are super close to each other's time, which means the racing should be very competitive. Dougie Afroman improves. It's not a very good lap from him though. Ayrton Spencer will go again. Just under 9 minutes remaining in the session. Ayrton Spencer improves his best time by a fraction to improve his hold on pole position. This is an outlap for Chiller Killer. He'll be going again, so don't expect anything major from him or Sonics, because it looks like them guys are gearing up for a lap, as is Avanza, as is Lenny TBD. So this is mainly, like I say, a warm-up lap for most people rather than an actual fast lap. Still plenty of time to go in the session, but so far, honourable shout-outs to Lenny TBD, Gru, of course, the wildcard, and Philly Wool, all on very, very good positions at the moment. Now, if anyone's in the chat, please don't be afraid to say hello. Let me know how the sound quality is. Let me know I had some feedback. How are you doing? How are you enjoying the stream so far? Any issues at all, do let me know. Mr. Ralph sets a pole position time of a 1:24.0. Ayrton Spencer is on a massive improvement himself, though, so pole position provisionally has gone to the Spaniard of Mr. Ralph, up on pole position in the Williams car. 7 sets the lap time. It's nothing to write home about. 10 seconds off that pole position time we have just seen. Now, Ayrton Spencer was on an improvement. He'll be coming through the final sector. Oh, and he's got it all wrong. Got on the throttle too early there in search for that pole position, and he has squandered himself severely. So I won't be imagining this will take pole position. He might actually just pit and get some new rubber on, which is exactly what he's going to do. Full commitment into the pits there. Why would you expect anything else? So Chiller Killer up to the line. I'm not sure how good this lap time is. It needs to be better than a 1:24.0 to take that pole position. He's going to cut it quite close, I think. What is that from Chiller Killer? Yes, it is. It is provisional pole. Brilliant from the ART driver, but Mr. Ralph once again is out on another one. Ollie Polly puts his name up there in P5. Mr. Ralph has done the exact same thing though as Ayrton Spencer, but he's messed up even worse. Around he goes. So right now, Chiller Killer maintains his provisional pole. It was under threat though, so we know Mr. Ralph can do it, and we know Ayrton Spencer can do it. So it's still anyone's game here. Exactly a tenth between Avanza 7 and Sonics. That's very cool to see. King Maka 14 in the chat says, stream is all good. Let's hope for a clean race. Well, Maka, you know we love a clean race here, and I think Fuji is going to be one of them tracks that just provides the business. I mean, look how close everyone is in just in terms of qualifying time. Let's run through that order real quick and just give you an example of what I mean. This is the gap between Chiller and second, less than half a tenth. Then it's less than 3 tenths between second and third. Then it's less than 2 tenths between third and fourth. Then it's a tenth exactly between fourth and fifth. Then it's less than a tenth between fifth and sixth. Then it's less than 3 tenths again. Half a tenth, less than a tenth, less than a tenth. It is very close here. It's extremely close in terms of how quick, you know, the close to grid is. One minor improvement on your lap could send you up the order incredibly. Now, I was about to shout there because I thought Lenny TBD had taken pole position. He's not. His screen just glitched out a little bit. But yes, one minor improvement could be massive in terms of where you start. For example, this could be a prime example here. If Avanza 7 is on a personal best, he'll come up to the line. Will it be good enough to improve him from P4 on the grid? It will put him up a position, so he'll now go into the podium spot. Ayrton Spencer will have to respond to get around that. And now Sonics takes provisional pole position with a 1:23.9. So you can see how little time there is in it. We have Mr. Alf, we have Ayrton Spencer, we have Vanzer 7, we have Ollie Polly, all of these guys on a massive lap as well. So it's far from over. We got 5 minutes left and these guys are closer than ever. Literally, this is the most competitive we've seen yet. I mean, Suzuka was competitive, but so far this has been the business. So Mr. Alf is out on an outlap. Good to see Sevens is steadily improving his time. Is he in last still? He is. No, he's not actually. Scheckter is in last at the moment. Okay, now Sevens is last. So, I mean, he's improving though. His pace is not that bad at all. Can definitely improve from here. So Mr. Alf is out on a lap, as is Chiller Killer. He's on an outlap. Sonics has got a penalty. Vanzo's got a penalty, so those guys will not be improving. Ayrton Spencer, however, coming out the final corner. That is a 25 dead from Dougie Afroman, puts himself in P8. Ayrton Spencer up to the line. Will this be provisional pole back for the Welshman? Yes, it will! In a big way! Almost half a second. He takes pole position off the American. Says, nobody, thanks for keeping my seat warm, but that is my spot. Takes that position right by Mr. Alf, cracking under all kinds of pressure here, making mistakes in search of that provisional pole time. Incredibly close at the front of the grid here. Avanzo 7 looks like he's had an accident in the pit lane. With 4 minutes to go, these guys will have one last opportunity to get in there, get going, get some new tyres, and just roll again. Ollie Polly is on a less than optimal lap, we'll say. So he will go again as well. Just Skull TVD in the pit lane, as you can see there, getting some fresh boots on. And away he will go. P11 for him currently. 7 sets another lap time with 1:26.8. Okay, so Chiller Killer. Now, this is ideal. Chiller Killer's got a big toe here. Now, he needs to get past Scheckter pretty fast to actually utilise this, but he's having to battle with Scheckter. And they're both just sort of ruining each other's laps here. You can't really place the blame on anyone there because, I mean, Scheckter could have let him go. Chiller could have just not dive-bombed him, but it was clear what Chiller wanted to do. He wanted to be, you know, get the maximum speed he could down the start-finish straight from that slipstream, and it's just not really worked out for him. Mr. Alf giving us a flash on the camera there. A flash that we'd like, not one that you don't want to see. Would not like to see a Spaniard flashing, but what we would like to see is a Spaniard setting a purple Sector 1. So this is all but over here. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock, just about. And Mr. Alf is about to stake a late claim for pole position here. Now, we'll watch this lap intently because he has made a few mistakes over the course of this qualifying session. Of course, he could not attend Suzuka, so this is his first qualifying session. This is the first time he's had this sort of pressure to deal with this season, but he's improving by a 10th, so he is going provisionally quicker. Now, we know Ayrton Spencer had an absolutely mighty Sector 3. Is Mr. Alf going to be able to match or even beat that? We'll keep an eye on the times on the left as well to make sure nobody else is sneaking past that we haven't noticed. Mr. Alf coming into the final sector now, coming up to the last corner. This could be a pole position worthy time for the Spaniard. It's been very good so far. We won't know now until we get to the line, but it is flat out now. It is a straight shooter. Could this be pole position? It's definitely an improvement, but is the Spaniard going to go on pole? No! By half a tenth! He misses out. It's a massive improvement for P2, but it is not quite what he needed for pole position. He's got time to go again, though, but he'll have to keep going. His tyres are less than optimal. The people, the heavy hitters that we got to be concerned about, mainly is Ayrton Spencer, Chiller Killer, and Sonics. All these guys out on outlaps. They're going to be the last few cars to cross the line, and they're going to have the fastest tyres to do so. Ayrton Spencer, I believe. However, Mr. Alf, we had said he had to keep going, but he's on another improvement. However, he is catching a car in front of him. He's catching a lot of traffic, so this could be detrimental. These cars need to stay out of the way for Mr. Alf, because this is a pole position worthy lap time. And just look at the traffic he's having to deal with. He's 2 tenths up. I mean, they're getting out of the way reasonably well, but that's enough to be a mental distraction for the Spaniard here, really. I mean, Avanzo 7 has just put it up in P3 on the podium, so he'll be very happy with that. Skull TBD does a slight improvement as well. Oh, I can't help but feel bad for Mr. Alf here. I feel like the dirty air from Scheckter in front is 100% going to affect him. I mean, he'll be rewarded with a healthy slipstream to the line, but is it going to be enough to take pole position? I mean, he definitely had the speed. He caught the traffic at probably the worst part of the circuit, but the Spaniard now goes to stake a claim. Will he be able to do it? Yes, he will! Half a tenth for Mr. Alf, takes provisional pole. Ayrton Spencer will look to respond to that, as will Sonics and Chiller Killer as well, I'm sure. Ayrton Spencer out of the final corner. Is the Welshman able to retake that pole position time back from the Fernando Alonso fan? The number 14 car up to the line. Ayrton Spencer doesn't do it. He's got to go again. No, he's out. No pole position again for Ayrton Spencer. It is all over but the crying for the Welshman. We have the last few heavy hitters on their laps at the moment. I mean, Avanzo 7's on a lap. It's a personal best. Will it be enough to dethrone Ayrton Spencer from the front row of the grid at least? But there's absolutely nothing in it in this battle for pole position. Just making sure we have the right cars on the right parts of the circuit. We do. Avanzo 7 will be the first car to come up to the line. Will it be an improvement? Will it be P2 or even P1? No, it's a disappointment for Avanzo 7. So the first heavy hitter is out. Up next is Chiller Killer. What can this man do? He will put it up into P4, knocks down Sonics. Can Sonics respond? He took pole position a little bit earlier in this session. Is he able to take it again? No, a disappointing finish for the American. We'll only see him start P5. It is Mr. Alf, all but on pole position here. Do we have any other cars? We have a few cars with penalties. Dougie Afroman, is he able to do anything? I don't think he's on for a pole position lap, but he might be able to improve his starting position. Will he be able to? Up to the line, Dougie Afroman does not improve. We have Lenny TBD also coming towards the end of his lap. Any improvement from P7? No, everyone not making any improvements on their final lap. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. It is Mr. Alf, and look how much that means to him. On debut, takes pole position for the Japanese equivalent of Suzuka. Of course, it is the Asian Grand Prix. And wow, here we get going. If that's what qualifying was like, it's going to be a great race. So here you can see on the grid, Mr. Alf takes pole position ahead of Ayrton Spencer. Ahead of him is Avanzo 7. Behind him is Chiller Killer. Then rounding out our top 5 is Sonics as we get ready for them 5 red lights. Here you can see him at the top of your screen. That's very handy to know. 3, 2, 1. It's lights out. And away we go then for the Asian Grand Prix. Who's going to get the best start out of everyone? Sonics has had an incredible start up to P3 already, but he's getting a little bit swamped. Is there going to be any form of contact into the first corner? Avanzo 7 going astronomically wide, making a mistake there, but everyone else has made it through cleanly. So Avanzo 7 makes a huge mistake, drops down all the way to P11 straight off the bat. Ayrton Spencer takes the lead of the Grand Prix. He's under pressure from Mr. Alf, who's under pressure from Chiller Killer. All going off in the background behind. We got a few cars bumping and weaving, but everybody is finding that rhythm in the night. They're getting away. There's no contact so far. Sonics and Chiller Killer going side by side now. Who's going to win that battle? It looks like Chiller Killer will hold on for now, but he's getting all jiggy with it. And we can see 7's going off in the background as well. Chiller Killer's still holding off Sonics. Sonics has a run though. Will he be able to send it down the inside into the next chicane? Does not look like he will be able to. As we pan a little bit further back, the ISR cars going hammer and tong. Skull TBD looking to line up. Lenny TBD nothing doing. 7's and PRT Groot now fight into the chicane, battling over all but P12. And lap 1 has been an absolute roller coaster already. Huge loss though for this man, Avanzo 7, who's now firmly in the battle with Philly Wool, Lenny TBD and co. They're all in a big train, and it looks like Chiller Killer has made a mistake. Sonic takes the P3 away from him, but Chiller Killer's got the better run onto the start-finish straight. He'll look to take P3 away from him pretty much as soon as he lost it. As we ride on board with him, you can see right up in the slipstream now. He'll look to send it up the inside. I mean, Sonic's looking pretty helpless here. Now, who has the best of the braking? We'll find out. And it is Sonics, surprisingly. But Sonics has gone astronomically wide in trying to outbrake Chiller Killer. Chiller Killer gets the undercut back up into P3 for the ART. We can see this crazy battle going on behind us, though. It's Philly Wool, Skull, Lenny and Avanza, and Schectifer. All this is battling over P7. Skull TBD leads the way from Philly Wool. Lenny TBD looking to line up, his Northern Irish compatriot. Really getting confused on what I should be saying here. Avanza 7 looking to line up Lenny TBD. He'll send it down the inside, door shut in his face. And Avanza 7 makes a mistake, loses a position to his teammate as a result of that. Skull TBD in P7, chased down by Philly Wool. do apologise for that. Just had to take a small break from the action there to cough. And that's how crazy this race has been so far. Fantastic racing. Ayrton Spencer leads from Mr. Al, from Chillakiller, from Sonics. Dougie Afroman up in P5, being chased down by Ollie Polly. Behind him is this crazy train by Ozzy Osbourne, led by Skull TBD. Not the 80s rock anthem, I'm sure. As we can see, Groot now looking like he's going to get involved with Schecter going into turn 1. Is there any, as we watch the cars coming by, Philly Wool's quite close. Skull TBD's going defensive very early. We can see in the background it is that battle of Schecter and Groot. That's going to be the main one. We ride on board with Groot now. He'll be looking to go down the inside. He'll have to send it from a long way back. He's considering it, but he doesn't want to risk it, and he has to pull off. Now we go back on board with our race leader, Ayrton Spencer. Behind him is Mr. Alf. Chillakiller and Sonic still going at it over this battle for the podium. A 5/10 penalty has been awarded to Sonics. You would imagine for corner cutting or track extending of some kind. That's usually what we see these penalties for. But everyone in the chat, I know we've only got 2 of you at the moment, which I do appreciate. Massive effort from you guys to show up and really enjoy this. You're being treated for your actions, I'm sure. I'm just trying to get some more information up on the screen for you guys. There you go. So now you can see what tyres, what fuel, everything like that, what everybody is working with. Now we're a little bit into the Grand Prix. I have to say though, Chillakiller and Sonics are actually closing in on Mr. Alf here. Mr. Alf is slowing down. He's struggling to keep up with Ayrton Spencer. Welshman looking very comfortable. Oh, contact! We had some contact there, I think. Can we see what happened? Is there any way? So what happened here? Oh, Sonics just tried to send it down the inside. Unfortunately, it wasn't going to be a move that was ever going to work. He realised that. He had contact, but as a result... Oh, look at this! Switching and swerving. Chillakiller and Sonics really going at it. Chillakiller going ultra defensive, trying to save his life from Sonics behind. So basically what happened there is Sonics knocked Chillakiller off the racing line, realised what he had done, surrendered the position, which, although he surrendered the position, Chillakiller's line in the final corner was severely compromised, which gave Sonics a massive run into turn 1, which is why we saw Chilla having to fend as much as he did, just to stay alive in that podium position. Great racing so far. Here the crazy train is spreading out a little bit. It's Avanza 7 trying to cipher his way through the traffic after his earlier mistake. We can see his next target is Philly Wool. He'll try and move down the inside to the chicane. He's got to be more assertive than that on the brakes. Philly Wool tries to hold on, but the door is removed. Philly Wool down into P9. He's now under pressure from his compatriot, Lenny TBD, behind. And it looks like the move could be done quite... Ooh, wow! Lenny TBD really struggling to hold on to the car there. See Lenny TBD really making a good move there. Up the inside of Philly Wool like it's nobody's business. P9 goes to the other Northern Irishman. We said these guys were catching Mr. Alf. That's no longer the case. Sonic's really trying to chase down Chillakiller now. He's got such an overrun of speed. Is he going to dive bomb it? Of course he is. We cut at the worst possible time and do an F1 special. Don't worry, we'll get a replay of that. I do sincerely apologise for that. Wrong button was pressed at the wrong time, but Sonics takes P3. We don't know how much of a move in terms of how fair it was. We'll find out. Let's have a little replay here. So he just sends it from an awful long way back. Doesn't really do anything wrong. Really extends his car to make sure Chillakiller can't come back. Really good move there from Sonics. P3 is his, and I'd say it's well earned. Can he now hold on to it from Chillakiller, who will be the man doing the chasing instead of being the one being chased? Brilliant, brilliant racing from these guys so far. Avanzo 7 now is lining up his next target, which is this man in front of him, Skull TBD. Now, he's not going to be able to make any form of move through here, is he? He's setting him up for the up and over, but Skull knows exactly where to place his car. The Team ISR car making a Diamante Nero get really nervous and have to swap and swamp and dive and wreck and just almost die, to be effective, through that final sector. But I'm sure Avanzo 7 will have a healthy run going into turn 1. Looks like we've got a very close battle going on here. according to the minimap, but it's not as close as I thought it was, so that's all fine. But this one is the closest of the two. It is Avanza 7 chasing down Skull TBD. We ride on board with the Diamante Nero chasing down the Team ISR car. He's going to pull to the left-hand side. Now he's going to dummy him, so he's now going to go down the inside. Skull TBD gives him a mighty squeeze. The banging wheels, the two of them, huge accident. They both make severe contact. Skull's off, Avanza's off, and they both have a dramatic amount of contact. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So what happens here? They just keep banging wheels. I don't know what's going on. Oh no, oh no, oh no. So that puts Skull TBD down in P10. Doesn't help Avanza 7's case either. I'm sure the stewards will look at that if that is submitted. Scheckter is getting jiggy with it, trying to pass Philly Wool down into the chicane. Is he going to be able to pull it off? Down the inside for Scheckter. Sevens leaves the room. Well, at least he won't be interfering with the race lead this time out. Scheckter up into P11. Mr. Ralph closing back in a little bit on Ayrton Spencer. Sonics has somewhere lost the position to Chiller Killer. We did miss that during the contact between Avanza and Skull. But it looks like we're going to catch the meaty section of this sandwich as we watch Sonics chasing down Chiller Killer. Chiller Killer going ultra defensive, Sonics to the outside line, and he just has the incredible amount of slipstream to help him pull through, but he's still going to have to try to do it the long way around. I'm sure Chiller Killer is not a fan of letting this happen to him. He's held the inside line, he's better on the brakes, and he'll take it. Sonics will attempt the up and over, but it's Chiller Killer who gets the better run, maintains P3. Meanwhile, his teammate Dougie Afroman is being pulled in as a result of this. Skull TBD also leaves the room, so I'm sure he's not happy at all with what's just happened to him. We've got a spinner in the background. Who is that? Are we able to see who that spinner was? We're not able to. I can't find who that spinner was. He's still on the track. It's whoever that is moving now. It is not letting me switch. I think it was Lenny TBD. Lenny is at an issue here somewhere, but it is not allowing me to click on him to view what happened, so I do apologise sincerely for that one. But we've got bigger problems to attend to, and that is Sonics, Dougie Afro Man, Chiller Killer. The freeway battle of doom. Now I'm just checking the keyboard that I'm using to pan these cameras, and it's not letting me press quite a few buttons at the moment, so we're unable to do much other than view the action live as it is, so I do sincerely apologise. Not sure what's going on that one. I'm going to turn the keyboard off, turn it back on real quick. Still not working, so something with GT Sport has gone somewhere, I think. Skull TBD says his internet died. Now we're just going to switch the keyboards, switch them back on, see if we can figure out why it suddenly stopped working. Nope. Okay, not sure what's gone on there. Must be the heat interfering, but I do apologise for that one yet again. But Chiller Killer holds on. Dougie Afroman's not really closed in, but I tell you who has closed in. Ollie Polly is putting in some impressive laps. He's going consistently fastest of anybody right now as he's closing in on this battle for P3. So I wouldn't count Ollie Polly out of the podium here. He picks up a penalty, however, so it doesn't really help his case there. Chiller Killer did just serve his penalty. Sonics has one. Also Dougie Afroman. So pretty much everybody got a penalty through that section of the track, but they were able to serve it quite quickly. So it's not really the end of the world for those guys. Just got to be a little bit more careful in where they're picking out the white lines. Now the tyre situation is pretty good right now. These tyres are still lasting pretty well. I'd say we're probably maybe looking at a 2-stop this race, and definitely not the crazy stuff of a 3-stop like we were seeing at Suzuka. Now obviously we're on a harder compound of tyre, which means less grip, more durability. So these tyres will last a bit longer than the Super Softs, and the trade-off being some lack of grip. We can see Scheckter and Lenny TBD going at it here. This is a close battle. Now it's not letting me use a lot of the buttons here, so I'm not sure what's going on. But we do have our first pit stop. Dougie Afroman and Avanza 7 are the first guys into pit lane. They're the first guys going for the undercut, and it looks like there's a tiny bit of a refuel there from Dougie Afroman. Same with Avanza 7. So these guys, they're pitting, they're not filling up a whole hell of a lot, so they might have to pit again for a bit of fuel later on. But that is our undercut triggered. Now, will this trigger a pinball effect? The domino effect of pit stops. PRT Group and Dougie Afroman. PRT Group yet to pit. Dougie Aframan looks like he came just out ahead. Ayrton Spence looking vulnerable to Mr. Ralph this lap though, so I think we might see the Welshman in the pits. Alf definitely more comfortable on his tyres though. Is Alf conserving his tyres? Is that why he's not being really staying with Spence as much as he'd hoped? Certainly keeping him honest. Do we see the race leader pit? No, we do not. Ayrton Spence stays out. Do we see his rival? No, so the top guy's staying out, as we can see Sonics and Chiller going at it once again. Do we see either of these guys pit? We do actually see Spence pit. So that must be an extremely late call. That's interesting. We can't even get a replay because the keyboard isn't working. Must have been a very late call from Ayrton Spence, but Chillikilla now up into P2 as we see Sonics, Groot and Ollie Polly all pit as well. So the undercut definitely triggered by Dougie Aframan there. He's caused all kinds of chaos. That has led him right on the back of Sonics though. So will he be able to apply the pressure early? Because I mean, Ollie Polly's right there as well, and Chillikilla's yet to pit. So I mean, obviously Dougie will want to get past Sonics and help out his teammate. But if these guys don't battle a whole hell of a lot, then Chillikilla will probably be undercut here. Oh, both of them slipping and sliding. These tyres are brand new, but these guys really want to take the life out of them early. It's a close quartet. Has Avanza 7 pit as well? Yes, he has. So these guys are all effectively in the battle for the podium with Chillikilla as well now. Will we see Mr. Alf respond to Ayrton Spence just yet? Sonics leads this quartet. And Dougie Aframan, who's getting slidey, which is going to allow Ollie Polly to smell a little bit of blood. We can see Chillikilla all over the road. Ayrton Spence, if he doesn't pit this lap, I'm sure Ayrton Spence is going to be all over him anyway. Does Chillikilla pit now? Is Chillikilla staying out? Wow, okay. So Chilla, clearly aware of the undercut attempt that's been performed against him here. He's going to try to do something a little bit different to make it less painful. Obviously, the wise thing is to let Ayrton Spence go because he's not battling him at this point. Very interesting. Sailor is gaining a lot on Dougie Aframan. Is Sailor Gal going to send it down the inside? He's considering it. There he goes. There goes the move for the TBD Esport car up the inside of the ART Aguri. P5 secured for the Norwegian. He'll start chasing down Sonics now for his next car on track. And he sets a purple sector to boot as well. Mr. Alf still yet to pit as well. So Chillikilla and Mr. Alf looking like they're trying to perform the same thing. However, Mr. Alf has a lot better tyres because, like we say, he'd been conserving them. We didn't really see it. Dougie Aframan and Avanza 7 are now having a ding-dong battle. Close quartet, like I said, these guys, they've got to be careful in terms of how much they're battling because they are effectively fighting Chillikilla for the podium here. So the longer this goes on, the more it actually undoes everything you're doing with the undercut. See here, Schecter and Lenny TBD are going at it hammer and tongue as well. Some bad blood in that battle, I'm sure. Now, Avanza 7 looks like he's got a tremendous run on Dougie Aframan here. So this could be the move for P6 switching here. We'll see, because, I mean, Dougie Aframan has the slipstream. We now see Chillikilla finally into the pit lane as we see this weaving battle as Sailor weaves to break the toe. Dougie Aframan follows him to do so, which leads Avanza 7 to also do the same thing. Chillikilla massively undercut here, and he's had to change his strategy completely. Now you can see this is a huge refill of fuel for Chillikilla here, so this is effectively trying to put himself on a one-stop strategy. Ollie Polly is battling away with Dougie Aframan. Now Avanza 7 is all over the back of the ART Aguri. He's going to try look for a way past. Dougie's not giving him much opportunity. Is he going to try send it down the inside? That's where you tend to, but Dougie Aframan leaves the door open, and Avanza 7 says, thank you very much. I'll take that from you, my fellow Scott. And up into P6 he goes for the time being, but Dougie Aframan says, not that easy, son, not that easy. Keeps it. Now Avanza 7 will try throw it back down the inside of the ART and says, actually, I'm coming through. Dougie says, no, you're not. You're not coming in my house. I'm squeezing you off the line here. Contact between the two. Almost touring car levels of driving between the two Scotsmen. And it's all a story of Avanza 7 will not be let into Dougie's house. Dougie does let him on this opportunity though, and there you go, the battle is still going. Dougie's still got a nose in it though. He's going to try going back down the inside with Avanza 7. He's still got an opportunity to same P60, and Mr. Ralph, by the way, has pitched during all of this, so he has dropped down to P2. And he's gone onto the medium tyre. As Dougie Afroman coming back at Avanza 7 now. Really getting close and personal with these two. Side by side into turn 1. Could Dougie hold it around the outside? Oh, he's trying it. And Avanza 7 unable to pull off his signature squeeze from Suzuka. Dougie Afroman keeps P5 and says, no, Craig, you're not coming in my house. But he does go wide. Kind of hurts himself a little. Avanza 7's coming back, and these guys are not giving my throat an inch of rest. Avanza 7 trying to go back round the outside now. Oh, contact! Contact, and Avanza 7 spins as a result. The replay feature is not working. I don't know what happened. Was there contact? The stewards, I'm sure, will find out. Oh dear, oh dear. And that all ends in tears. All ends in absolute tears. It looked like Avanza just went himself, though. It looked like Avanza got on the throttle too eagerly, and around he went. You have a little battle going on here. It's Lenny TBD and Avanza 7 now. So Lenny all over the back of the Scotsman. Put himself back in the train he was fighting a little bit earlier. I'm sure he won't want to be here. Lenny looking for a way by. Nowhere on this opportunity. But he does get the up and over. He's got the better run than the Scotsman now. As we run towards turn 1. This is all Lenny's for the taking. Lenny sizing him up for an opportunity. Avanza 7 goes defensive. Lenny the TBD has to go around the long way in the ISR car. He'll be outbroken by Avanza 7, but he'll get the sub up and over the undercut. And now contact between the two. But it looks like Lenny might have the position gain, but Avanza 7 still has the inside line. Actually, Avanza 7's got the better run, and it will be Avanza 7 who stays in P8 for the time being. These two are not over yet, though. They're still going to keep fighting, I'm sure. Avanza 7 picks up a penalty. A big one at that. Showing you that it's not over yet. And that will be music to Lenny's ears. He has another opportunity though coming into the chicane. He'll have an opportunity to send it down the inside. Will he do it? No, he holds back. Because they're both catching Chiller Killer a little bit. It makes sense for them. We have a crazy battle here. This is Mr. Ralph's and Sonic's. Now, I don't know what's happened. I think Mr. Ralph's desperately trying to warm up his tyres. Because he's on the mediums and he's really struggling. Now Sonics is going to try go clean around the outside to take P2 away from the Spaniard. Has the Spaniard got anything to say about it? No, he lets him through. Has this been a dire mistake on the strategy for Mr. Ralph? Are the racing mediums just not heating up for him here? The gap was caught and closed significantly. We have another car in the pits. I'm not sure who it is. It's not any of the leaders. And there you have it. Racing Softs look like the winner on this one. Mr. Ralph. How will he respond later in the race to that? Philly Wool and Schechtfer still having their own little battle at the back of the grid. Five-tenth penalty awarded to Philly Wool for corner cutting. And be a good sight of your Schechtfer. I think it was Avanza 7 pitting to go onto a 2-stop and solidify himself on that strategy to go to the end now. So he'll have to go 20 laps without a pit stop and try and make up for the mistake that he made in the battle against Dougie. And it looks like it's been a horrific choice for Mr. Ralph on them racing mediums. He's really struggling to keep up with the American Sonics now. We saw something similar to this last weekend. It was Chiller Killer tried to go onto the racing softs in the super soft enabled race, and he just did not have the pace thereafter. I think this is a similar situation with the mediums. They're just not up to speed, and Mr. Ralph could cost himself P2 here. Could cost himself P3 if Ollie Polly. You'd argue Ollie Polly, after all of this chaos, is the favourite to take P3 now. He's in the best position, I'd say, of anyone. Oh, no, 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 no. Wow, Code Brown moment for Ollie Polly. He loses a second, but he's lucky he doesn't lose the race. That was the commentator's curse. Almost throws it all away. Oh, dear me. Oh, what a save, though. Philly gets the move done on Scheckter. He's up into P9. Everyone a little bit spread out. Ayrton Spener leads in a dominant fashion. Something we're so used to saying about this man. So, Ayrton Spener for TBD Esport leads the way. Behind him is Sonics for WSR Sim Racing, setting personal best in his attempt to run away from Mr. Alf. Mr. Alf for Philliams is in P3, but we think he's on the wrong tyre. Ollie Polly for TBD Esport is the next one up, the closest teammate to his teammate. Dougie Afroman, ART, is in P5. Groot is in P6, our wildcard entry. Great result for him so far. Chiller Killer, the man who was battling for the podium as well. His super long pit stop for fuel is what's kind of taken him out of this one. Lenny TBD is chasing him down there. And then it's Philly. And now we have Scheckter in the pit lane for his second stop of the afternoon. Okay, so everyone is super spread out because pit stops are coming into it, but Mr. Alf still looks a little bit nervous. To be fair, everyone, I think, is a fair assumption, is nervous through there. But Mr. Alf has a lot of fuel. That's what's important here. Out of everyone, Mr. Alf has the most fuel, so I think on fuel alone, we'll see a lot of pit stops coming very shortly. That will put Mr. Alf back in the position he needs to be, but it'll be interesting to see if he diverts back onto the softs when he has the nearest opportunity. But Sonics is going to be the first one to pit because he's running very low on fuel. He makes a little bit of a mistake into the pit lane. In comes the WSR car for some new tyres and some new fuel to get him on his way. Ollie Polly doesn't pit. He continues past. I'm imagining, yeah, I was just about to say, I think we'll see Dougie Afroman doing something very similar. There is Dougie Afroman putting on them new soft tyres and filling up as well. Sonics and Dougie Afroman filling up. Now, this is where Chiller Killer might make some of the time back. We was mentioning Groot, also going to be doing the same as is Lenny TBD. And that's what I'm saying. Chiller Killer's now back up into P5 as a result of this. Sonics is ahead of him, but he's got back ahead of his teammate by doing that long fuel pit stop a little bit earlier. Ayrton Spener, you'd imagine, will be the next one to do this. Ollie Polly will probably be the same as his teammate. All these tyres looking like they need a change as well. So fresh tyres for Dougie Afroman. We'll see how the battle at ART Fury pans out. Scheckter in the pits once again. Must have done something different there. Not sure why he's back in the pits. He was only in the pits a minute ago. Phil in there saying, forgot to refuel, rip me. So that's why he's in the pit lane again. Scheckter forgets to put fuel in. Effectively ends his points chance today. Obviously, there's only 11 cars on the grid right now. We've had 2 retirements in the form of Sevens and Skull. So only 1 car will not be scoring points today. So here's Mr. Alf. He'll continue because he has the fuel to do so. He's going to be out of sync with the others, but he takes the lead of the Asian Grand Prix once again. Only just though, because Ayrton Spener has come out right behind him. So this is how much of a dominant race Ayrton Spener has had so far, that he comes out right behind the leader immediately after his final pit stop. Doesn't even have to do any work to pull the gap back to him. It's just there immediately. Ollie Polly's dropping down the order a little bit. Looks like he'll come out in P6 behind Dougie Afroman. Oh no, it's actually P4, P5 now, so he's very close to Chiller Killer. That's a very important battle, because this is effectively the battle for third place if anything goes wrong with Mr. Ralph further. So these guys are battling for net third, and it is a Scandinavian battle to decide at the moment. But Dougie Afroman's not too far behind. Everyone getting a bit nervous on these fresh tyres, trying to take a bit too much out of them too early. Ayrton Spener has got a penalty. You'd assume again for corner cutting, that's usually what we see these kind of things for. Had no refuel prompt, says DeFast, says Scheckter. So Scheckter didn't get informed that it was low fuel, but obviously he wasn't paying attention to it either. a mistake on the game and his side, but kind of a 50-50 situation there. But anyway, back to the race at hand. Ayrton Senna looks like he's finally going to be able to pass Mr. Ralph, because it looks like, is Mr. Ralph going to go into the pits? Yes, he is. So Mr. Ralph, like we say, he's going to take the opportunity, because he has to refuel anyway. We can more than guarantee that Mr. Ralph will not be staying on their mediums. I bet you will see the softs go back on as he refuels up for his final stop. So he's still in the battle for P3 here. It's going to be a struggle for P2. But he's done what he can with the hand that he's been dealt, I would say. So out he comes, yet back on the softs. He'll come out in P3. So he has done a great job, actually, on their mediums. Comes out in P3. Now, the battle for the podium that we thought is going on right behind him. Looks like this is the battle for 4th rather than for 3rd at this point, because Mr. Ralph has come out in a perfect position to go flat out to the end of the race. Ollie Polly and Chiller Killer, though, are still going at it, and Dougie Afroman's not too far behind. So Sailor, the old man known as Sailor, Ollie Polly, is in an ART Aguri sandwich here, and I'm sure they'll try work together to try fend off the TBD Esport driver. The Norwegian, though, has a lot of experience under his belt, has been in this situation many a time before, so he'll want to make the most of it. It's going to be a close battle now. You can't really overtake in this sector. It's a very slow sector. But Ollie Polly will just be trying to set up Chiller Killer for that run into turn 1. He's got the freshest tyres of anyone here, Ollie Polly. So again, he's in a super strong position. And with 15 laps, could he go and take down Mr. Ralph for P3? Whatever he does, he's going to have to do it fast. So here goes Ollie Polly then. He's got the slipstream on his teammate Chiller Killer. The run to the turn 1 is enabled. Here we go. Now, Mr. Ralph isn't too far behind Sonic, so I don't think Sonic's is entirely safe either. But more to the point, someone that's definitely not safe is Chiller Killer. Ollie Polly pulls to the inside line. He's going down the inside to take that P4, away from Chiller Killer. Chiller Killer will try, fight it around the outside, but Ollie Polly gets the job done. Chiller Killer will try a switchback, but Ollie Polly gets the better run. He's up into P4, and he'll look to try and make a gap now, so he can go after Mr. Ralph. Oh, I thought Chiller Killer was going to do something silly there, but he holds off, just trying to scare Ollie Polly off the provisional racing line a little bit. So Ollie Polly, P4 now. So let's have a look at these guys. Sonics has had an accident all by himself, and that is going to bring him into the clutches of Mr. Ralph. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. Again, the replay feature is not working. I'll try it again, but it's just not working. The lobby's glitched out. I do apologize. We caught the back end of that anyway. I'm not entirely sure what happened to Sonics there, but he's under a lot of pressure now from Mr. Ralph. He just got on the curb, I think. He just got on the inside curb, and that was enough to unsettle the car enough, so he was spinning out. Now, that puts him firmly at a disadvantage in this fight against Mr. Ralph. He's got more fuel. He's got more tyre. The Spaniard has got the inside line. It's looking like a hand dealt, and it's looking like a royal flush for Mr. Ralph here. He goes down the inside. He's going to try and take P2 away from the American side by side and run into turn 1 as they go. Now, who's going to be the last of the late breakers? You'd have to imagine it's going to be Mr. Ralph at this point, but Sonics has not been scared off the road this series so far, and that is an almost textbook move from Mr. Ralph, but Sonics has got a pretty good run on the outside. He's going to try hold the inside line for the next corner. Mr. Ralph, is he going to be able to hold it around the outside for P2? No, Sonic sends it back up the inside. He takes P2 back from the Spaniard. All the while, this is helping Ollie Polly catch back up. Meanwhile, Dougie Afroman has overtaken his teammate of Chiller Killer. So the ART Aguris are getting jiggy with it as well. Sonic's still under immense pressure though from the Spaniard. As I completely forget what flag that is for a second. Brain not functioning. But someone whose brain is functioning is Mr. Ralph, because he doesn't send it up the inside. He's going to prime Sonics. He's going to prime him like a layer of paint. He wants his finest art to come out all primed, all ready, all decked. He's going to be very happy with this move. That's how he's thinking. He wants it like a very nice DIY project. And Mr. Ralph will set up his prey, will stalk his prey through the final sector and hope to just get that better run. Will he be able to do it? Sonics has got a little bit of a drift going on. But here we go once again. The gap is 7 tenths. With some slipstream that could easily be as little as 2 or 1. But I don't think he's going to be able to make the opportunity. He's gaining, but he's not gaining fast enough. So Mr. Alf actually got the worst of the 2 exits out there. Now it is firmly advantage Alf. So this is impressive driving from Sonic's. He's got less fuel, so he's lighter, but he's got less grip as well. Dougie Afro-Man is ahead of Chiller Killer. As we look a bit further down the grid, nothing really insane going on. We might have an overtake going on for P9. I think that was just Avanza 7 passing Philly Wolf. So here's the battle for second still going on. Mr. Alformer makes the same mistake as Sonic's did a few laps before, so no one's immune to these mistakes. You've got to be so careful. But the battle for P2 is still anyone's game. I mean, these two are going to battle. We know they're going to battle. That's going to bring in Ollie. Ollie's going to join the battle. That's going to bring in Dougie. That's going to bring in Chiller, who's in a bad way for tyres. Chiller may need to pit again and take himself out of sync. Definitely watch out for Chiller towards the end of the race if he does pit, though, because tyre wear is turning out to be huge right now. Out the final corner we come then. Now, the gap was 7 tenths. It is 7 tenths again. Now, it all depends on if Mr. Alpha's got a better run than Sonic's this time. I don't think he necessarily has. I think it's about the same situation we was in the last time. Now, what is happening is Sonic is going defensive, and Alf is not following him. So when Alf doesn't follow him, Chiller Killer does pit, by the way. When Alf doesn't follow him, he doesn't get that slipstream. So he doesn't close the gap as much as he should. So Mr. Alf is kind of hurting himself at the moment, the Philliams. But Ollie Polly will say, no, you guys keep doing what you're doing. It's fine. Strong P4 for Ollie Polly. He can turn it into a podium here today. And it all goes to Tears, of course, because his teammate's in the lead. It could be a TBD one too. Could be very interesting indeed. So here we go then. We have 11 laps remaining of the Asian Grand Prix. And once again, it's been an absolute banger. We have Avanza 7 in the pit lane again. He would disagree with that statement. He has had an absolute nightmare of a race. So much for Dougie letting Chiller through, says Skull. Very accurate. So, for those who didn't know, there was a pre-race agreement that Dougie was going to let his teammate through because he felt he was faster than him. Definitely not be the case today. Dougie Afroman, storming drive, really being good. P5 doesn't feel like much, but I mean, it's a Carlos Sainz story. If P5 didn't feel good last time, it will this time. Will we hear him singing Smooth Operator? That is the question. So Sonic's is looking quite comfortable out the last corner, and this is hurting Alf. Alf isn't able to get the run he needs out of the final corner to pass Sonic's. He can try send him a dummy, try scare him out the braking zone a little bit. But right now, truth be told, track position is paying dividends for Sonic's. He's really holding on well. And that's exactly what he will have hoped to do for the next 10 laps. It's going to be a physical and mental assault on the American by the Spaniard. Are we going to see another Spanish Inquisition? The Spanish Armada will chase down the American Revolution. And we'll see who will win that fight. Meanwhile, the Viking Scandinavian will be not too far behind them, ready to pillage whatever points he can pick up if it all goes wrong for those guys. Oh, we've got a spin. We've got a big one. Someone's off in a big way. And it's not, again, it's whoever's in 11th. It's not letting me view. We should be able to see it. I think it's Schectifer. It is Schectifer. Schectifer's had a big spin. Again, I want to really quickly, while we've got a minute to, I want to explain what's going on with the keyboard. Now, for some reason, I think it's something to do with the GT servers, but only only the numbers on the keyboard are responding. To view 11th place, you actually need to press Q on the keyboard, which is a letter. Hence why we're not getting a response when we're trying to look at 11th. But never mind that, because this is the best run Mr. Alpha's had in a long time. Now he's really got to make the most of it here. He's really got to send it, and he's got to make sure there's no opportunity for a switchback. But no! He doesn't even attempt it. And that is a good opportunity wasted for Mr. Alf then. Unless he thinks he has a better opportunity in Sector 2. But I mean, Sector 1, Turn 1 is definitely his best opportunity for a pass. Just doesn't have it on the brakes, it didn't seem there. Wasn't that confident. I mean, that was his best opportunity. I mean, Sonic's tyres are really getting tired now. They're really, and no pun intended, his tyres are screaming enough. So he's at the biggest vulnerability he's ever been at. And Mr. Alf has been looking after his tyres really well. I think Mr. Alf realises here he can easily go to the end. He's conserving his tyres a little bit. P2 is secure for him in his mind. I think this is what's going on. He is able to conserve, so he's just going to wait a little bit. Wait for Sonics to just drop off in grip. He doesn't need to risk it all. P2 still very much on the cards. When we thought it was gone when he made the mistake with the mediums, the P2 is still here. Now this is another spectacular run. This is even better than the last run we had. This could be the end of the American Revolution at the hands of the number 14, Fernando Alonso. Almost, not quite. Anyway, he's going up the inside just like Fernando would. And is he going to get the move done? Yes, he is. Squeezes Sonics to the outside to make sure that switchback is not enabled. And there you go. That's how you take P2. Textbook. And Dougie Afroman pits, interestingly enough. So Dougie is running out of fuel. That's what's happened there. Mr. Alf, like we say, he needed to pit for fuel. Mr. Alf is fine on fuel. So that's very interesting. A few guys, like we say, we can see, are running it super close on fuel. PLT Group, one of them. Is there a last minute splash and dash that I've forgotten about? Craig looks bored, lol. Dougie P5 at Fuji for the second time in 4 days. Is that an honourable shout out from Ed there? I believe that will have potentially been a reference to Dougie Afroman's success in the NORL Superform in the series. Another series I always used to comment it. See our race leader Ayrton Spencer then into the pits for this last splash and dash. He'll take on some new tyres as well, because why not? I think Sonics will get to the end on that tank of fuel. Ollie Polly's going to be cutting it close. I mean, Sonics will get to the end on fuel. Will he get to the end on tyres? Anyway, out comes Ayrton Spencer. He's fueled up. He's going to the end. Jobs are good. And oh! Sonics into the pits then. Sonic's clearly not comfortable on that fuel to go to the end. Ollie Polly's not, though. Is Ollie Polly thinking he can do 7 laps on that fuel? Surely not. Or is he just going to try and go for an overcut here? Sonics is refueling. Is he taking tyres, though? I don't think Sonics is taking tyres. No, he has. He has. That's fine. I was going to say that's a huge misread. But it's fine. He comes out, new boots, new fuel. He's in a solid position for P4 and a solid position for P3 when Ollie Polly pits next. Now, we have Lenny TBD and PRT Group making their final stops at the day at the same time. They're both having a little bit of a refuel because they were both cutting it super close. We've had someone spin, and it's Schechter for once again. Having a really bad result compared to last time out. Not long to go here at all. Ayrton Spencer has been in control pretty much since turn 1. He had a horrific qualifying, but he'll be very happy with that. I say horrific, it was still very good, but in terms of what Spen aims for, in terms of what he can achieve, it was bad for him. So this is the perfect way to respond. He will conquer at this rip both Japanese tracks that have been thrown at him. Will he be able to do the same this time next week? We'll have to see. But Mr. Alf, anyway, is on for a strong debut. It could be P2 him for him. Chiller Killer got P2 on his debut last week, so seems to be something about debutants. And we'll see Ollie Polly into the pits then, like we say. Don't think he was ever going to get to the end on that fuel. Anyway, we'll see how quick the splash and dash is. I mean, he's going to have a little bit of time to chase down Sonics, but he's not going to have a whole hell of a lot. This is a big refuel. He actually might lose a position to Chiller Killer here. Where is Chiller Killer? Here he is. It's going to be close. The two going to be side by side into turn 1. Chiller Killer's going to go for the up and under, and he's going to be able to do it. Ollie Polly caught napping at the end of his pit stop, and now he has the inside line. Chiller Killer really trying to squeeze him. The two make contact. Chiller Killer has to abandon the defense. Side by side, still making huge amounts of contact. Really banging wheels and getting slidey with it. What a battle this is for P4. It's all but secure P3 for Sonics, but it makes for excellent viewing for us at the present time. Ollie Polly has the better tyres. They both have the same amount of fuel exactly. So this is going to be a straight-up dogfight. All advantages go to Ollie Polly, though, in terms of tyre wear. In terms of everything, really. So can Chiller Killer hold on for 6 laps? No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. That's very true. The Green Boys, I'm assuming you're referring to what I'll call the Snot Rockets. Overboost Racing. One of their drivers was unable to attend today. The other one, Sevens, quit very early on after a series of series of spins, he was trailing around at the back of the grid. And he just pulled over and quit, so I'm assuming he just didn't really see the end of it. Anyway, this is a man who's not going to quit. Ollie Polly lining up the inside line for Chiller Killer. He's going to go down the inside. He's going to try take it. There's a little bit of lag involved, so that could play a part. But here we go, up the inside. Ollie Polly gets the move done. Now Chiller Killer has the inside line. It's role reversal from last time. Ollie Polly, though, covers off the inside line. Is able to switch back to the outside line. And he takes P4. Great result. There's a little bit of intermittent lag between the two, but luckily they're both able to navigate it without making any problems for the other. It's a great driving by these two. Lenny's chasing down Groot for P7 in the final few laps. They're both pretty equal in terms of everything. Lenny has a bit more fuel and a penalty to bear with. Terrible result for Avanzo 7. Really, really bad drive from him today. It all started with a terrible mistake at turn 1. 0 to 0. Meanwhile, Chiller Killer somewhere has got the position back from Ollie Polly. So we missed that. I do apologise. We'll stay with this battle now, because Ollie Polly is going to have to try do all the work he did literally do a lap ago again. So TBD versus ART. Down the start-finish straight into turn 1 we will go. Ollie Polly lining up Chiller Killer. Chiller Killer goes ultra defensive. Ollie Polly will follow him into his slipstream. It's all but done here in terms of speed. Ollie Polly just needs to be a little bit later on the anchors, which he isn't. Chiller Killer holds it, but he's going to go a little bit wide in doing so. That will allow the up and over from Ollie Polly, something we've seen many a time. These drivers just keep trading this move off. Now Chiller Killer has the inside line. Ollie Polly will have to do something around the outside, which is literally impossible to do at that corner, and Chiller Killer holds on. But Ollie Polly's got the better run through the flat-out right-hander. Will he be able to send it up the inside? Chiller Killer tries covering it off, successfully covers it off. And Ollie Polly will have to stay behind for a little longer, but now he's got a good run heading down into the chicane. It'll be a battle for P4 because Sonic is just gone at this point. These two have battled so hard that there's no chance of catching him up. Ollie Polly trying to fake a dummy to scare Chiller Killer off the road, but Chiller Killer is a master of dummying. He's done that so many times himself that he's not going to fall for it. And the battle continues for another lap. And it'll be Ollie Polly again trying to set up Chiller Killer for this run into turn 1, which will lead to them being side by side pretty much for the entire lap again. Oh, he's going to try it up the inside of the last corner this time. Trying to get different. Oh, contact between the two. Both wiggling. And it looks like Ollie Polly is the main victor of that. But now that switches the favour to Chiller Killer in terms of the slipstream. So now Chiller Killer will have the run and will be on the offensive. Ollie Polly prefers the inside line this time. Chiller Killer will try go around the outside. Side by side into turn 1. The two Scandinavians going at it. Down the inside for Ollie Polly. He'll try hold it there. Chiller Killer trying to go clean around the outside. He's forced out a little bit by Ollie Polly. And now Ollie Polly is into P4. But Chiller Killer's still right there. Still not giving up on this battle. They're still going at it hammer and tongue as we come into the flat-out right-hander. And Ollie Polly gets a much better run because Chiller Killer's tyres are really starting to cry enough at this point. He might be under pressure from his... Oh! Ollie's gone! Ollie, after all that hard work, has just spun himself on the curb. Oh, no! Oh dear, now I'm not sure if we're having issues with the stream or something right now. Are we having issues with the stream? Do let me know if there's any issues, because it looks like there might be. I do apologise. Yeah, I think the stream has gone, at least for me. What is going on here? Is there any issues with the stream? Do let me know. I do appreciate it. I'm not sure what has just happened. I think it was a momentary lapse on my side. I do apologise. Don't know what's happened. I think my internet did not appreciate what I was just doing. But I think we're good to go. Anyway, someone who's not good to go, Ollie Polly, after all that hard work, has really just thrown it away there. He'll be absolutely heartbroken. That's P4 just gone. He can still chase Dougie Afroman for P5, but with 2 laps to go, he'll have to do something absolutely magical. Great alternate strategy by Mr. Alf, but I mean, with 2 laps to go, he's driving on ice. Look at the state of those rear tyres. Really nothing left on the rears at all. Dougie gets a little bit of a penalty. Dougie's just got to try not crack under pressure, and he'll have P5 here. Ollie Polly's just got to throw it to the wind here if he wants any chance. Now, Mr. Alf is all the way coming into turn 1. Sonics is at the other end of the straight, so I don't think there's going to be an issue for P2. It looks like everything is pretty much arranged. A checked for now retires, meaning everyone who will go to the end will be guaranteed at least a point. Oh! Oh, Mr. Alf! Mr. Alf has spun on the penultimate lap! Where is Sonics? Mr. Alf needs to get back going again. His tyres are crying enough. We can't do this anymore. Oh, that could be huge. Mr. Alf is on dirty, worn out, dead tyres with a hard-charging Bronco of Sonics on fresh tyres. Enough fuel to go to the end. This is huge. This could be the twist in the tail we was waiting for. Oh, Mr. Alf just completely dropped it. Can he make it to the end? If he's not already, he needs to switch the traction control on. He needs to survive for a lap. That was absolutely monstrous. He's lucky that there's no damage, because that could have been race ending. Oh my goodness gracious me, that was absolutely huge. Mr. Alf. He's under so much pressure now. He hasn't put a foot wrong pretty much apart from the strategy all day. But now with a lap to go, he's not even quick enough to keep Avanza 7 from unlapping himself. He's just got to let him go. That's not your fight, guy. There is an American behind you on much better tyres. That is your fight. Don't worry about the back marker. He'll clear himself off. Just the best thing you can do right now is just hold this guy off because he's under so much pressure. He's only got a lap to defend, but I don't think he has the tyres to be able to defend for that lap. Sonic's desperately trying to line up an opportunity. Sonic's got to remember not to try too hard either. A seriously wounded Alf under pressure from Sonics. Sonics is going to try abruptly send it up the inside in a very, very aggressive move. Shoves Mr. Alf off the line. Mr. Alf will be like, that's not cool, bro. That's a bit harsh. Oh, Ayrton Spencer's gone. Ayrton Spencer goes out the final corner on the last lap. Luckily, no damage for him as well. Ayrton Spencer will go to the line. He's not going to risk it. He's just going to celebrate his victory in style. Ayrton Spencer wins the Asian Grand Prix. Fantastic drive. An absolute dominant performance. Not a foot wrong all day. We'll see what Mr. Alf has to say. But Sonic's elbowed his way past an injured Mr. Alf. I think he was going to get P2 anyway. But the American will take his best result of the season. P2 for him. Mr. Alf will take a podium on debut. Could have been P2, but he made a mistake all by himself. Chiller Killer takes another strong P4. His teammate reinforces that with P5. Fantastic day for ART Aguirre. Another man will be kicking himself. Ollie Polly comes across the line. Only P6 for him today. Wild card. A wild performance. Great result for PRT Group here. Keeps his head out of trouble. Takes P7 on debut. Lenny TBD will come on P8 ahead of his compatriot Philly Wool, and Avanza 7 crossed the line a long time ago. So it's once again this man, Ayrton Spencer, taking the win here today at the Asian Grand Prix. The only time he put a foot wrong was the final corner of the final lap. Fantastic job here. We'll see him celebrating his second victory of the season, firmly planting himself at the top of the standings. He will be very, very happy with that. Ladies and gentlemen, what a crazy race that was. I appreciate there was some connection issues, which I do really appreciate, and I do apologise for. throughout the stream. But I thank you for sticking with it. Hopefully the race was a good one for you, because it was a great one for us. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Have a great one. Remember to keep tuned to ISR Online on Twitter or ISR on Facebook to see the results and how this affects the standings and everything. But yeah, remember, same time next week, first we go racing at Brands Hatch for some more crazy action. We're done with Japan for now. It's time to go to the United Kingdom. Again, thank you so much. We're going to leave you with an outro. Have a good evening, everybody.
Just trying